mortgage.
And so what was the situation? Could you not afford the mortgage, or did the banks not do a deal with you at that stage, or what happened?
No, the banks, like, there would have been opportunities, and it's not that I didn't make payments or anything of the sort, because I did, but they would never, like, combine the arrears or anything like that. So the arrears just kept building.
And when you say it was a decent size, was it a decent sized mortgage? I mean, was it completely unaffordable for you at the time?
Oh, of course it was. I mean, I was a single mother at the time, I had 4 small children, we'll say, at the time. So
Okay.
you're going back, it's like we'll say, 2 relationships.
Oh, so you've had 5 children since then?
Correct.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But, I was on my own, I was working, I was paying, and I wasn't paying, and I was doing my best, and that's the way it was back then.
And the arrears were building up and building up.
The arrears have been up for 18 years.
I'm going to ask you a really obvious question, and I'm sure you've been asked before, Patricia, but because you were in a bad situation, right?
Correct, yeah.
And you were in a bad situation where your arrears were building, you knew you were in danger of possibly losing your home, because they will remind you of that over the telephone all the time. The banks always say, you do remember that you could lose your home, and blah, blah, kind of affect your credit rating and all that kind of stuff that they say to you on the phone. Did you not say to yourself, well, I better hold off, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to you, but, I better hold off on having more kids just for the moment, because I'm not really in a position, and I could be losing the roof over my head?
Well, first of all, if I want to have 20 children, I'll have them, because I look after my children, and I look after them on my own.
But you can have 20 children, but you can have 20 children if you can afford 20 children. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, but you can't. And this is about a mortgage, not about giving birth and having children now, first of all, right?
Yeah, I know, I understand that.
And the other side of this is that the banks are robbing people every day of the week.
I'm aware of that too.
100%. So, I mean, you throw a woman out in the street and you do it illegally.
Yeah, but they do evict people all the time. And we only talked about evictions last night. We mentioned that there's 14 evictions a day. Some are voluntary, some are not voluntary. There's 14 a day. There's 34,000 people in arrears over 2 years in this country. So 34,000 people are waiting for the knock on the door. And we understand that, and it's a shocking situation. There are some of those people who are doing it, are playing the game, so to speak. But there are some who are genuine in bad circumstances. But sometimes you create your own circumstances, or you can help your own circumstances as well, can't you?
You can help your own circumstances. Everybody can help their own circumstances, correct?
Okay, so, at what point do you say to yourself, well, look, I can't afford to continue this particular type of lifestyle that I have, so I must change it?
Not the lifestyle,
the amount of money that I'm earning, or the amount of money that I'm getting.
Banker's lifestyle.
I think that, to be fair, it doesn't matter how much money I would earn, or how much money anybody would earn. If there is arrears building on a mortgage, and the banks don't do a deal with regards to arrears, well, the arrears will keep building.
Absolutely.
And building and building. And the banks are known not to do deals on a mortgage arrears. I
wouldn't quite agree with that, Patricia. The banks are doing certain deals with people. They have done deals with people.
Some banks are doing certain deals with people. The majority of banks are robbing people, and people are not aware of the situation. And I wouldn't have been aware of the situation until I educated myself and began to educate myself and begin to get knowledge and get help from people that are in situations and some people aren't in the situation, and they're giving their time free.
But their argument, the bank's argument, when you say banks are robbing people, the argument they will have will say, well, hold on a second. We loaned you X amount of money to buy a house. You signed a dotted line and said you pay it back.
You loaned a promissory note.
In difficulty. Let's see what we can do. But unfortunately, it's unsustainable. That's their argument. That's what they'll say to you.
They'll say it's unsustainable. They will, yeah. And the country will say it's unsustainable. And if that's actually not true, why not work with people and make it sustainable? They will tell you, go to MABS, and you go to MABS, and they say, we'll give you a €500 voucher, which, by the way, I never got. They'll give you a €500 voucher to go and see what's called a PIP, a personal insolvency practitioner, and they will look at your finances, and they'll tell you in seconds, oh, well, you don't have enough money to even live on what you're getting.
And you wouldn't, obviously, with 9 kids. That would be difficult. I can understand that.
Correct.
Okay, so what your situation right now is, you've lost the house, it's gone.
I lost the house through the banks illegally taking possession of my family home. It's also
they will argue that they legally took possession of your home.
They illegally took possession of my home.
Okay, but that's your view. Their view is different to yours, obviously. I don't have them on the air.
And they won't come, and they wouldn't come on the air either.
Well, they don't, and they won't talk about individual cases, and I can understand in some sense why they do that, because otherwise they'll be on every single radio station every single day of the week. So, but their argument is that they legally took possession of your home. You say they illegally took possession of it, okay? And that's for you and them and the courts to decide. But in relation to your situation now, so what way do you find yourself now? You're in temporary accommodation now.
I'm in temporary accommodation, yes.
And what does temporary accommodation exist of at the moment for you? Or what's life like for you?
It's tough because I'm living quite a substantial distance away from my children's school. So it's about at least a 60-kilometre trek to drop and to return home.
And are you in a house, or are you in a... What are you in?
I'm a holiday home house, yes, correct.
All right, okay, and that must be expensive enough, is it, or...?
Yes, it is, and I do not claim social welfare first, just to...
Okay, so, and if you could afford to pay that, well, then what was the bank's problem? Why wouldn't they accept the money that you're paying for that? Obviously, you have to pay for that, you're not getting that.
The real reason as to why the banks took possession of my home was because there was an order due to expire, and if the order expired, there would not have been a possession of my family home that they would sue the state.
So, is there a possibility, do you see any possibility, Patricia, of you getting your house back?
100%. I will never stop until I get my house back. They took illegal possession of my home. They got an illegal order.
And are you willing, if you get your house back again, right? Okay, let's say, what was it? A 4, 5, 6-bedroom house? What is it?
No, just a nice standard 4-bedroom bungalow.
Okay, 4-bedroom bungalow. Okay, so if you get your house back, or if there's an agreement for you to get your house back, are you willing to pay the mortgage on it?
Yes, of course.
But you're not willing to pay the arrears because you don't have it.
Well, I would like them to combine the arrears with the outstanding mortgage. I'm a very young woman, and give me that opportunity.
And are you working currently at the moment? You're a single mom and you're working.
No, I'm not a single mother.
Oh, you're not anymore. You're with a partner now, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, and are you married, or are you just...
No.
You are? Okay,
yeah.
So you're in different circumstances now. So
yes,
are you...
different circumstances. This isn't a situation that happened overnight, as you can understand.
Well, as I can imagine, because there's been 5 more kids added to it now. So obviously it's taken a long time.
No, this is a situation that occurred in a first marriage. I was a young woman getting married, and through awful circumstances, we separated, and I was left basically to do the majority of the work with regards to children and with regards to the bills.
And is your partner working at the moment? Are you both working at the moment? So,
no, I don't work.
Oh, you don't work?
And I don't... You have to understand...
Working mother.
This is the situation with...
Harder than any job.
This is the court proceedings are in my name and my ex-husband's name, and that's where that stands, we'll say.
Well, then if you're not working currently at the moment...
How dare you say that now?
And it's in your name... Well, then they would be expecting you to pay the mortgage, but you couldn't sustain that mortgage if you're not working yourself. It's in your name.
Niall, I would have made substantial amounts of payments to the banks over the years. Substantial amounts.
No, I'm talking about going forward.
Going forward, there isn't a problem with payments. Going forward, Niall, I have been in court cases in Limerick where I've heard situations where people haven't paid a mortgage since 2010, and the County Register hasn't given a possession order. I firmly believe, I have it in writing in front of me. The order is fine. The order is fine. It's an erroneous order. Niall, they take you in and they get these orders under what they call rateable valuation. There is no rateable valuation in a domestic home.
Can I ask you a question? Do you believe, Patricia, that everybody has the right to own their own home? Do you believe people have the right to own a home? When I say, do you believe it's a right?
I believe everybody has a right to have a home.
Even if they can't afford it?
Well, I mean, you list
I'm not saying you personally. I'm not saying you personally. But if somebody can't afford it.
Well, to be honest, I have seen situations of late since I've become involved in situations and gone in and out of court cases to kind of educate myself, and I have seen that the banks have handed people outrageous amounts of money. I know of one person, and there's a €250,000 loan on a woman that has always been on her own and has not been able to sustain her. How the hell can anyone pay that on their own? A €250,000 mortgage. I think it's high time that the banks woke up.
Well, some people will be paying it on their own if they've no other debts, if they've no other bills, and maybe they don't have any children, if they're single or whatever, they could pay it on their own if they were working. Some people could.
Yeah, maybe they could, but it's an outrageous amount of money to expect.
Somebody texted in and said, fair play to Patricia, and she's right. She does have a right to have 20 kids if she wants to have 20 kids now, but you are right also in saying that she has to be able to afford it. So, in other words, it's not everybody else's responsibility to pay for your 20 kids if you want 20
Nobody
kids.
pays for
the children.
Nobody pays for my 20 children, only myself.
Jesus Christ, Ireland, you're a disgrace.
Well, even if I had 20, nobody pays for my children. I pay for my own children.
Somebody says, no, they should just give her the house back and be done with it. It's getting a bit tiring now listening to people being dumped out of the streets all the time. Surely it'd be cheaper for the banks just to leave those people in the houses. What are the costs of going to court? Must be ridiculous. Another person said, that woman had 5 more, went in trouble keeping a house. Please, Niall, give us a break. Another person says, if I give you a loan and you tell me you will pay me X amount of money, have I got the right to expect you to give me back the money? Of course, that's the way it works now. It is sad, but it's true. Another person says, ring me please, I'd like to come on and talk about this. Now, well, we did talk about evictions all last night. But Patricia, I do wish you the best of luck in your endeavours. I don't know how successful you'll be, but I do wish you the best of luck.
Well, it's like this night. If wrong is done, and if their order is wrong, which it is wrong.
In your view?
No, it's not in my view.
Well, they would argue with that, Trish, and I have to obviously, as you know, they're not on the air, so I have to argue their side of it as well.
They will definitely argue.
No right to argue any side, so they listen to what you're listening to.
The original order in 2004 had no right to do so until 2007.
Okay, and I'm sure they...
Stop defending them.
Okay, and I'm sure they will have contrary evidence to that. I don't know, I'm not there, and I'm not a bank, so I don't know. But obviously I'm taking your word for what your side of the story.
Still defending them.
This is the law. This is the rules.
So you're very confident that you will get your house back in
I will get
your
my
possession.
house back. I will get my house back in my possession. Because I am going to keep fighting until I do so. Because first of all, Niall, as a right and a human in this country, every person has a right and they have no legal right to put a family and take a family home and evict people from their family home. They are using principal primary dwelling. Not a principal primary dwelling. It's a family home.
All right, well, it's on that note, and I do wish you luck. Lots of people texting in about that, Patricia. Thank you very much indeed. All right, and I'm sure you'll read lots more about that story. It was, I know, in the papers in and around Galway and Clare as well. Nobody pays except the €1,290 a month in terms of allowance. Another person says she needs to explain how the bank robbed her. Well, she's saying the bank robbed her house, essentially, because she doesn't agree with them taking her home off her. I'm sure the bank would disagree with that, as I said already. Another person says, no, what's the bank's take on all this? Well, the banks don't go on the air. They don't talk about individual cases because there's privacy rules.